If you're an artist like me, you may be familiar with references, which are images that help an artist draw complex poses. I found a reference from Pinterest and gathered 18 artists to use it for the next masterpiece. However, there's a little twist. Instead of copying the image, we will be choosing our own characters to draw. So really, we'll just be copying the pose. This is the reference we will be using, and I chose it because of how dynamic it is. Perfect for these artists to draw. I know, I'm yapping too much. Let's get to these drawings. I'll go first. I mean, not to glaze or anything, but I cooked on this one. This has got to be one of my favorite pieces, like, ever that I've done, because I went ahead and experimented with this one with some contrasting colors of blue and red with the lighting. But man, I think I did pretty good on this one, I'm not gonna lie. But if you guys want context for this character, this is the protagonist to my animated series thing that I'm working on called Otherworldly Neeb, and he has this cool two-toned colored hair that I really like drawing. And dude, I cannot stop drawing him. It's so hard to stop drawing him. Like, I just want to keep drawing him over and over again because of how fun his design is for me. Alright, and here's the finished piece. I can't wait for you guys to see the other ones. They are absolutely incredible. Let's move on to the next artist.
Oh my gosh, hi, I'm Bree. And for this drawing, I immediately saw the reference and thought of someone being like super cool and doing this epic pose. Maybe like on a moving object. Or possibly mid-run. But I went with the first option because that just felt cooler. Obviously I did the sketch and I don't really know how to explain my process. It just appears, okay? It's like magic. And I cannot explain it for the life of me. But I did want this character to look super cool. And I originally was gonna draw my OC Vera, but why not have some real fun? I wanted to make up a design on the spot because boy, I like making a simple task harder. And somewhere along the process, I kinda just started making her hair into a star, and that was the moment I realized. This will be entirely star-themed. Alien OC, Star Girl, can you tell I like space? I also got some inspiration midway through that it's gonna be really vibrant. I really like adding color to my art. And what rainbow thing could have inspired me more than the Rainbow Road from Mario Kart? Because that seemed cool, so it became one of my inspirations for this piece. But after some sketching and some line art and coloring and all the stuff you probably don't want to hear about, I ended up with this drawing. I don't really have much to say, so yeah, bye!
Alright, my turn on this reference take, so let's see what the reference Mad Ryu has for us today. Oh, I am so cooked. Okay, I am not good at this reference thing at all. I can never replicate it closely. I don't know. I picked my OC Iblis, who is a Gajinka of my Mimikyu, because if y'all know me, I love this OC because he's tragic, and I like tragic sad OCs, so here we are. The line art was so fun to do. I mean, it was tedious, but it was like fun, you know what I mean? It gave it this manga type of look, but sadly, I had to cover it up with rendering. Oh, the pain. I decided to make him be in an alley of some sort. Failed on that. It looks nothing like an alleyway, and the graffiti looks tacky. This is my first time drawing graffiti, so it's rough. I'm also bad at backgrounds, so it doesn't help. I was having a mental crisis drawing this whole thing. Dear Lord, I was second guessing everything I knew about art. Lastly, the lighting is from a street lamp to give it this cool effect. Since I like the line art more than the finished drawing itself, I'll show you the close-ups because they're so cool. I had so much fun drawing it and doing the reference. And then here's the actual piece. This was a lot of fun to do. Thank you, Mad Ryu. I had a blast drawing my OC for once. Alright, on to the next person.
For my piece for this collab, I chose to use my Project Moon OC, Clay Valentine. They're a laid-back agent, inspired by characters like Kim Kitsuragi and Quan Chi. I wanted to depict them right after battle, having finished off multiple foes. When drawing directly from a reference, I find it best to break down the ref itself before I even begin sketching. There, I can find the perspective, action lines, and break down how to even start sketching the pose. This also helps me figure out what elements I can exaggerate in the piece to make it really feel dynamic. One element I made sure to include was his fringe flying back. It's a small detail, but I think it just adds this little extra bit of intensity. Lastly, their shoes. I knew I was going to struggle with them, thus I got some more references via some 3D scans of actual dress shoes. And here's the finished result.
Have you ever gotten a... Oh, dang it. Have you ever gotten a new video game and it's like the only thing you can think about doing for like a week before you realize you probably should be doing something productive, like working on a YouTube video or working on your webcomic, because as the weeks go by, your buffer gets smaller and smaller, and then you start thinking maybe your parents were right and that video games will never get you anywhere in life, and then you start to worry that your lifelong fear of being unable to provide for yourself and the ones you love starts to slowly come true, because if you don't maximize every single second of your free time being productive, then who's to say you're working hard enough to reach your dreams in it. Now take the first half of that feeling and apply it to a character idea you've had for years that you just finished designing. Mad Ryu sent out the request for this collab around the same time I finished my newest and favoritist OC, the White Wraith, and I've been drawing them non-stop, like here and... Okay, disclaimer, I also started a around this time as well, so I haven't had much free time to draw, but I would have drawn my OC nonstop if I could have. Anyway, here's the second ever drawing of this character. I have to say the perspective was probably the hardest part of this thing, other than whatever this guy's fingers are doing there.
If you want to be fancy, hold your pinky up like this.
But just like a rom-com, everything worked out in the end despite all the unnecessary bumps and hiccups. I got to work on foreshortening and perspective and background work and a lot of other things that I probably wouldn't have forced myself to do otherwise. Final result!
Hi, my name is Naomi Pistachiomi, and walking into this challenge, I already knew that I was going to struggle at least a little bit. I mean, I don't really draw poses like this. I usually stick to the simple lineup. This is not my territory, so I try to keep it as simple as I could. I left it a guy, even though I don't have any guy OCs, but we'll loop back to that later. And I actually had my girlfriend, Cinnamon Spiders, do a cleaned up rendition of my initial sketch in order to make it look more like the reference image. So yes, I did cheat, just a little bit. And then I decided to go back and make the character a redesign of an old OC I have. His name is Axel. He's a part of a story I have that focuses on magical girls who spend the daytime working at a, I guess you could say, media production company. They make magazines, and he's a model, so model magazines, boom. Kind of match made in heaven, if you ask me. Although I think this drawing looks a little funky some places, I actually really like it. But what do you think?
Hi, so I don't really know much about anatomy, but I try my best. So, I didn't know which character to use, so I just turned the guy into a furry catboy thing, so yep. I used the same colors for the outfit and just try to keep it blue. And for the eyes, I used pink just to make them stand out. So yeah, you can see me shading it right there, adding the lighting and stuff. And then I just like corrected every mistake. Like those damn shoelaces. I hate drawing shoelaces. But anyway, I just kept the background simple, as you can see right now. And this is the final piece.
Hello, my name is Astar, and for this challenge, I knew I wanted to draw one of my OCs, but I was having trouble deciding who. Recently, I've been doing some lore and world building stuff for my Magical Girl series, so I was thinking I'd do one of them. It was definitely a battle whether or not I should draw Fairy Boy again, but I had just finished OC-tober, and I drew this guy like literally so many times, so I was like, no, I need to give someone else a chance. So the OC that I decided to draw was Mermaid Summer! Look at her! Look at how cute she is in her little pose. She's gonna beat you up for real.
Hi, Retro Rex here, and I am so excited to be a part of this collab. Now, when I began, I had no clue what I wanted to draw. I wasn't in the mood to draw any of my OCs and pre-existing characters from media. I just didn't know who I would go for. So I decided to just go with the flow and make something up. I sketched out quite a few ideas, but nothing really stuck with me until I decided to draw a character in a city. Now, you will not catch me drawing backgrounds at all. I am weak in that regard. I hate perspective. I hate environments. But today was different. But I knew if I was going to draw a city, I would need to draw a correct perspective. And to really help me with that, I used Blender. I made a very simple city in Blender fairly quickly, rendered it out, and popped it into Procreate, where I basically used it as my guide. For the character herself, I usually don't draw poses in this sort of like wacky perspective, but I actually had a lot of fun doing it, and I found it a lot easier than I thought it would be. Her design itself, I kind of just made it up as I went along. It's pretty simple, but overall, I think she turned out really cute, and the drawing overall, I'm really proud of. It's really something where I went out of my comfort zone, and I think it paid off.
Hey there guys, it's me, B-Man. So the original file for this got corrupted and I'm losing sanity and I don't want to do this anymore. So you get this, bye. I don't want to say I knew what I was doing like right when I got into this, but I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted. Like I wanted like a cool fight type of thing going on, you know, wanted like some type of cool like little thing. Like I was slashing through a giant enemy bug and then I'm a bee, you know, because, you know, bees are really cool and awesome and, you know, I'm just so flippin' awesome and great and stuff, you know? So obviously I had to do that and I gave myself the epic spear because spears are obviously the best weapon around and I will not accept any other answer. Yeah, that's kind of it. I don't really know what else to say. Play Creatures of Scenaria and gamble your life away. Bye.
Hello, it's me, Mari, from hit channel Mari Bean. So when I got this collab, I was kind of stuck on who to draw. I really wanted to do my Sona, but I was like, I think I draw her enough. But I've also recently been playing the Great Ace Attorney, so I'm drawing hit character Sherlock Holmes. Not to be confused with Sherlock Holmes. At the time when the game came out, which was a while ago, I'm pretty sure, Sherlock Holmes wasn't in public domain. So to get around the localization, they just switched his name around. And honestly, it works out. I think it's so silly, and he's a very silly character who I like a lot. I got into the game a long time ago, but I'm actually properly playing, so I've been having a lot of fun, and I could go off, but he's one of my favorite characters ever. He has such, like, exaggerated posing. So silly. Oh my god, I know I said that, but he really is. And I love his design a lot. I think the colors work so well, and it was such a blast for me to actually draw him. I was taking a break from some schoolwork, and this was just so calming for me. And here's the final. I hope you guys like it. I love how it came out. Bye bye!
Hello, the name's Bruce. Pleased to make your acquaintance. So, I was tasked with drawing this reference, and I have done just that, with my muse for this piece being Jabber from Gachiakura. When it comes to referencing anything, I start with blocking out the simple forms, and then only after that sketch out the character details. I tend to focus on the sketch quite a bit, and move stuff around a lot, because this will be the base for everything that will come later on, and it's much easier to change things now, rather than when the piece is finished. When doing this, I also try to think about the focal point, and making the different parts of the drawing direct the viewer's eyes to said point. I kept this in mind while drawing the background as well. I focused most of the detail close to the character, and left the rest pretty simple. That's honestly the most important notes I had. The rest of this drawing is mostly just following what I planned out in the sketch and playing with color, shading, and making sure the values look good. And of course, adding a vignette and some sparkles to bring even more attention to the focal point. And here's the finished piece.
So for this collab, I started drawing the character that I'm most comfortable with, which is me. But honestly, I'm a little sick of just drawing myself all of the damn time, so I dug in the scary file cabinet of my mind and dragged out this OC that I haven't touched in quite literally like 2 years. Their name is Agony, and if any of you can remember this character, ooh, I love you, but I'm so sorry that you had to see my content back then. But oh my god, this pose was so fun. And if you know me, you know that I love to do foreshortening, specifically with hands. And this pose has a lot of that. It's basically the whole thing. I mean, there are a few discrepancies, but you know, who's here for exactness, right? I'm just here to use this pose as a reference and have some fun. And I miss drawing this OC. So thanks, Maju, for inviting me here.
Ah! I totally forgot about this video! Hi, I'm Rose, also known as Day Creates on YouTube. One thing left to another, and now I only have 3 days. I begin by tracing over the image. This won't be my sketch, it's just a study. The purpose of this is to get more familiar with the reference image, because I actually know what's going on. After the warm-up, I had a problem. I didn't know which one of my OCs I wanted to draw. But as soon as I get back to drawing a month later, I realized that the first character I thought of looking at my sketch was Ivor from Pokemon Legends ZA, who didn't exist yet when this video was first thought of. Now that I mentioned mention it, I just want to ask that no one comment any spoilers. It's still a pretty new game, all things considered. Right when I finished the lineup for him, I realized that the background was seriously lacking. At one point, there's going to be another person there, but drawing all that was going to take way too long. But when I removed it, all of a sudden, the drawing felt really empty. It was then I realized I needed to add a Pokemon to this Pokemon drawing. I looked through his team and realized that Phalanx is like the only one of his Pokemon that could even fit on the screen, since it's not his signature Pokemon or anything. It wasn't the first Pokemon I thought of, but I'm glad it all worked out. All in all, I don't usually use references, but once I got the hang of it, I had a lot of fun. On to the next drawing.
Yo, what's up? So I've been invited to this pose challenge by this lovely person here named Madryu. Anyway, this was randomly posted on a Discord and I decided why not? So for the past year and a half, I have been obsessed with this old 2000s style. I think the term for it is Vertigo Arrow. Enough about the aesthetic. The point is, this is what the drawing is based off of. So I have some bad news. You would think after a year of working with recording equipment that I would know better by now, but apparently not. So I messed up the recording twice. Frida has this thing now where you can basically record your drawing and you won't have this awful zoom in a billion times because you're screen sharing it. So you're seeing everything, including the zoom. But Frida and me being not very smart with technology decided, hey, F you, bud. We can't find the FFmpeg file. I'm like, bro, okay. So then I go and find it, direct to it. And it's like, ooh, okay, you got that done. Now, we can't render it. I'm like, what? And I go and I'm researching this for 2.5 hours. And I'm like, dude, I should just record it as is, like with OBS, bro. Why am I even trying? So I'm gonna fix that later. Editing skills here. So I found out that the reason why this wasn't working was because Krita couldn't find the original file location in terms of the speed paint file. So yeah, I'm not very smart. I was always asking myself, why didn't I use this before? It came out... Oh, yeah, okay, that's a long time. So I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all steps I took and show you the progress as best I can without ruining your eyes with a bunch of zooms. So here, my character is in this position and I'm dressed up without my mask in this Wii U style. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's the fashion that is listed in the aesthetic. We are surfing on a Windows, or should I say a computer Windows screen, looking like I'm surfing through this dimensional thing with like water, with a water trail coming out of this board I'm on. I experimented, I added different techniques. This is the first time I actually sat down and drew water. It's easy in concept, but harder to put it in action and have a good outcome. You have to really sit there and like fidget with it. Fun fact, here's how you draw a bubble. Yeah, there you go. And water is actually not that hard. You draw these lines and then you like duplicate it, add a multiply or some sort of overlay layer, and bam. Fill in some grading colors and water. There's this really funny trend I found. I don't know why it works, but it works and I hate every bit of it. That's the drawing, and I hope you guys enjoyed the scuffed video progress. Anyway, bye!
Madryu pitched the idea of a group of artists drawing in the same pose, and I thought to myself, wow, what a cool concept. Until I remember the fact I am so severely out of practice of drawing from perspective or at an angle. You see, lately I've been working on a lot of my own projects and others' projects, which means I haven't taken time to actually practice important art fundamentals like this. So, oh my lordy, was I getting frustrated trying to do this. Here's what I ended up with. Good practice, but suddenly not up to the standard I'd like to make for an artwork. At least, what I've taken from this is to keep practicing my fundamentals whilst doing other work. This is where I was going to end my segment, but I was just so unsatisfied with my contribution and on seeing how cool everyone else's pieces were. I told myself, no, I can do so much better, and went back to the drawing board, literally. Drawing tablet, I guess. After redoing the sketch several more times and trying to stylize the anatomy, I ended up with a piece which I was far more satisfied with. You're never going to get something perfect the first time, so just keep on persevering.
When trying to decide what character I wanted to do with this collab, I decided to go with my OC Mithril because I felt like I could do a lot with him, especially because he's like a mage caster, so there's a lot that I can do with like his magic and stuff. I haven't made OC art in like forever, so this felt like a really good opportunity, especially because I redesigned him recently. It's my first time drawing a character in such a complex position, and it was very painful, but honestly, I definitely learned a lot from it. One thing that was really important to me when working on this was I wanted to make sure I had an interesting background to help form a narrative, especially because of the pose. So I decided to make it some sort of battle between Mithril and the snake creature. The coloring was one of the hardest parts about this piece. It's definitely not the hardest, obviously that's the pose, but the coloring was hard because there were a few times I had to look at it in grayscale because I wanted to make sure the elements didn't blend too much in the background or with the character, and I think that made such a big difference in the final outcome. In the end, I was really satisfied with how it turned out, and I think this challenge made me really want to explore more pieces with diverse poses, especially when it comes to my characters. I think I was really happy that I finally got to explore some of Mithril through this collab.
First of all, I just want to say thank you so much, Mad Ryu, for including me in this collaboration, but I think it's about time I tell you what I'm doing for this reference. At first I was kind of hesitant because I was like, okay, this is a big perspective thing and I don't know if I can do something as complicated as this pose or something. But I then had an epiphany. I was like, you know what? With the right mindset, with the right everything, I can do whatever I want to. So to keep it short and sweet, all I just did is add a silhouette, and I wanted to do an OC portrait of this guy over here. So yeah, you can tell what my design process was there. So I just copied the same exact formation, except I decided to do like this magazine, movie poster-esque type of image. And to summarize everything, this is just a horror, doomed MLM type of story in his thing, basically. And with that being said, this is the final piece. I think it turned out pretty fine considering I did this a little bit quickly. So yeah, it's time to move on to the next person. See you guys next time.
Initially, I wanted to make this piece using one of my male OCs, but I just couldn't get it to work out. So of course, I switched back to using my main girl. No matter how many times I turned it around in my head though, I didn't want to draw her in her usual modern wear, so I designed an entire outfit for her on the spot, due to her story getting a rework and being inspired by wuxia, which I've been getting really into recently. This was tough for me, but I tried to keep things simple by using my layers and blending modes and fixing all my color mistakes with a tone curve tool. It really saved me during my process. I also photo bashed a screenshot that I took in-game of Where Winds Meet, as it's quite on theme, and worked my lighting around that. To wrap it up, I color corrected everything in grayscale, and the illustration came out a lot better than I expected. All in all, I'm so pleased with how it turned out, and I'm really glad that I took an unconventional detour of an approach to this reference.
Oh my gosh, all of these drawings are so amazing. Like, they're so good, they're so good. But you're probably asking me, why did you get all of these artists to draw all these? Well, I'll show you. If you didn't know what a reference was before this video, now you do. And now you know how to use them. You have so many artists to look back on and see their own tips on how to do it as well. So now you can use a reference. Maybe go try it out if you haven't already. And go check out these artist channels. They are amazing. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.